Hello, Lana. It's good to see you again on the lesson today. This is your instructor for strategy, governance, and ethics. Today we'll continue with our discussion on the topic ethics. And in our lesson number 3, we will be discussing an item that is related to ethical conduct in business, which is corporate social responsibility, better abbreviated as CSR. Now, it would be non-worthwhile for a business to pursue material terms and disregard the needs of the interests of the people or the larger community. So the concept of CSR is an ethical or ideological theory that an entity has a responsibility to society. So we are introducing CSR as this is a meaning of CSR, and CSR is an ethical or ideological theory that an entity has a responsibility to society. Now, when a company or a business organization is formed, there is a social contract created between it and the larger society or the environment within which that company is going to be operating. This contract imposes certain obligations and grants certain rights to both parties. One of those obligations that a firm has is that it has an obligation and a responsibility towards the environment within which it is operating. Please remember that an entity would go nowhere if it doesn't receive the support of the environment within which it is operating, for the simple reason that it needs to draw resources, raw materials, labor, skills, and definitely customer patronage for its goods and services for the business to survive and remain relevant. So if the society or the environment is so good to the business, then the business has every reason to reciprocate these good deeds that it also receives from the environment. So basically, as an organization pursues its financial objectives, it equally needs to consider the social and environmental impact or implications of its activities. The business should not only exist to serve the interest of the shareholders, but rather the larger society at large. So basically, in addition to emphasis on financial performance, a business needs also to perform well in terms of social objectives, and again, it also needs to perform well on environmental objectives. We will define CSR as the continuing commitment of businesses to contribute to social development by working well with societal interest groups. Little bit more specific definitions of CSR will include, we take at least 2. 1, CSR is a concept whereby companies not only consider their profitability and growth, but also the interest of society and the environment by taking responsibility for the impact of their activities on stakeholders, environment, consumers, employees, communities, and all other members of the public sphere. It is understood to be the way firms integrate social, environmental, and economic concerns into their values, culture, decision-making, strategy, and operations in a transparent and accountable manner, and thereby establishing better practices within the firm, create wealth, and improve society. It has been defined by the World Bank as the commitment of businesses to behave ethically and to contribute to sustainable economic development by working with all relevant stakeholders to improve their lives in ways that are good for business, the sustainable development agenda, and society at large. So, simplifying that, the emphasis here is on the need for a company to take into account the interests of other players and not only to focus on the shareholders or investors of a company. The concept is therefore linked to the idea that for sustainable development, companies should make decisions based not only on financial factors but also on social and environmental consequences of their actions. Now, why would it be beneficial for organizations to engage or undertake social responsibility initiatives? Importance of CSR. Importance of CSR. It is obvious that by engaging in CSR, a couple of benefits are likely going to accrue to a business. Some of them include: one, employer of choice. Employer of choice simply means that a socially responsible entity is likely going to attract and retain the most qualified or skilled personnel. And the importance of this is that the level of employee skill can be in itself a strong competitive advantage or a core competence for the business. Two, market positioning. Market positioning. Well, a company that engages in CSR again is likely going to become a household name, and people will want to be associated with this company, which obviously increases its market prospects and market share. Three, reputation. CSR is about interacting and serving the society and the larger public. This is likely going to improve the image or an organization's community standing, and the community is going to deem it more legitimate. Four, that is publicity. CSR activities attract a lot of media attention. Media has interest in social responsibility activities, and when the media cover these activities, then they are able to expose an entity positively. Again, it distinguishes the firm. Distinguishes the firm. Distinguishes the firm. it becomes easier for the markets, the society, and the public to draw a line between an entity and its competitors. It is a plan, it is a strategy that an organization can use as a distinction plan, make it different from the others, which is of course good that is from the perspective of competition. 5 or 6, sorry, trust and confidence. Trust and confidence, particularly in the financial markets. In the financial markets, the benefit of this is that the business has a better opportunity to access funding or to access financing for investment, because the investors have more trust and confidence in the business and will be willing to provide capital at even lower cost of return. Again, enables the firm to monitor social expectations. Monitor social expectations. Monitor social expectations. The firm is able to understand, to learn the different stakeholder expectations and move or act in order to try and fulfill or help these stakeholders meet these expectations to enhance the continued interaction and association between the firm and the shareholders. Again, it also helps a business to identify new opportunities, identification of new opportunities, identification of new market opportunities. Market opportunities. So while performing CSR activities, basically most organizations will want to partner with other bodies like non-governmental organizations, special interest groups, town and village committees. While doing that, the business creates networks, through which networks the organization can come to learn of new opportunities, which then the organization can go ahead to exploit. Now, dimensions of CSR. Dimensions of CSR. Dimensions of CSR. We can mistakenly want to understand CSR from a very narrow perspective, while the truth is that CSR is a very broad concept and involves much more than we normally think to be CSR. We see organizations engage in activities to support Medicare. We see organizations engaging in activities to support the disadvantaged in the community. And our understanding, or to promote the environment, well-being of the environment, protection of the wildlife, this may pose the risk of us understanding CSR to be only focused on such issues, while it is much more, so that it goes beyond improving the lives of people by the processes of ensuring that the advertisements that the organization play are truthful and honest. They do not misrepresent facts. to the fact that the organization complies or operates within the legal framework. That is also part of CSR. Ensuring that the business has fair treatment to everyone. When it comes to employment opportunities, there is no discrimination based on ethnicity, color, or race. They do not discriminate to people because they have disabilities. So basically, we will broadly identify 4 dimensions of CSR, which are, so that CSR has 4 dimensions. CSR has 4 broad dimensions. 4 broad dimensions, which include 1, economic responsibility. Economic responsibility. Legal responsibility. Ethical responsibility, and what is plainly referred to as social responsibility. What are these dimensions about? The primary objective for which a business organization exists is to maximize profitability and wealth. So the first, economic responsibility, just refers to the responsibility of an organization to earn a good return to the investors or to the owners of a company. It is all about efficient allocation and use of resources. It is about making truthful and transparent disclosures to the owners of the business. It is about providing the information that the shareholders desire, and it is about ensuring that there is a proper accountability of the resources that have been entrusted to the organization by the shareholders. Legal responsibility is the responsibility of the business to act or operate within the law, and it is therefore the responsibility to comply with the relevant laws and regulations. All businesses are governed or are regulated by legislation. Then there is the ethical responsibility. Ethical responsibility is not just doing right, but it also involves ethical responsibility means not just acting for profit, but also doing what is right, just, and fair, right? As a business or as an organization, the rights of other parties must be respected, and the business should be seen to be doing what is considered right and acceptable before the eyes of a right-thinking member of the society. And then there is the social aspect of it, or social responsibility, and this one is the responsibility of the business to promote human welfare and goodwill. This is where philanthropy comes in, improving the lives of the poor, helping the disadvantaged, supporting healthcare, education of the poor, among other initiatives. Now, we're identifying these importances of CSR, but then there's been a continued argument as to if it is necessary for organizations to, in the first place, engage in CSR or not. And apparently, there have been 2 schools of thought. One school of thought that argues that a business organization has every reason to play a role in social responsibility, and another school of thought which believes that businesses have no business to engage in CSR because purely their business is to make profit. That brings us to arguments for and against CSR. Arguments for and against CSR. Arguments for and against CSR. For. Now, those people in support of CSR have put forward certain justifications why a business organization should find every reason to undertake CSR initiatives. And the most important of these arguments is that once a business is formed, there is a social contract created. And that contract imposes an obligation on the business to serve the interests of the society. So one is that there is a social contract. There is a social contract between the organization and the society. And we're saying that contract introduces an obligation on the organization to serve the contract. A second argument is that the organization and the society are independent systems, interdependent systems, so that each needs the other. One cannot do well without the other. So the organization and society are interdependent. What this means is that for a business to thrive, it needs to be accepted and considered legitimate by the society. And therefore, if that is the case, then the society will be willing to offer or provide labor, will be willing to provide raw materials, because it is the society that is the custodian of these raw materials. And again, it is the society that will provide customer patronage. The farm sells to the society. For that reason, then the business needs to do good just to reciprocate that acceptance. Three is that organizations have resources, enough resources, and it is good, it is wise if organizations make use of those resources to serve the interest of the society. So organizations have enough resources. Another argument that has been put forward is that organizations cause some of the problems and they should be part of the solution. So they should ensure that the problems they are causing, particularly environmental pollution, they are also contributing to solving those problems. So organizations cause some of the problems. And should participate and should play a role in solving them. Another argument that has been put forward as to why CSR is beneficial is that by engaging in CSR, the company lessens the level of supervision, the level of intervention by regulatory agencies and state bodies, so that the state is likely going to relax its supervisory role and the policies related to such firms. So involvement in CSR reduces government interference in firms' operations, reduces government interference in firms' operations. Again, it is argued that just like individuals, corporations are also citizens, and they should also play a role in contributing to the society. And last but not least, when a company engages in CSR, finally benefits will accrue to that company or organization owing to the good reputation and as well as the increased market share. So obviously here we're saying that in the long run, a business financial prospect is going to improve, because as the reputation of the business improves, similarly the loyalty of the customers is also enhanced, and there is a potential growth in market share, which ultimately leads to better profits. In equal measure, there's been another school of thought that believes that a business should not waste time and resources engaging in CSR initiatives. So this brings us to arguments against CSR. Arguments against CSR. Against. Now, the most or the strongest argument against CSR is that businesses exist to maximize profitability. CSR consumes resources, involves a cost, which cost reduces the firm's profitability, and therefore engaging in CSR is deemed to be compromising the very objective for which an organization exists. So one, CSR compromises the main reason for business existence. Two, the proponents of this thought or viewpoint believe that CSR plays no important role when it comes to that is a competitive advantage. They argue that CSR rarely produces competitive advantage since it is irrelevant to business financial performance, customers, and capital markets. So has no meaningful competitive advantage. Again, they also argue that CSR is like double taxation, because companies will first pay taxes on the profits, and beyond those taxes, they are again expected to spend more on the same activities for which the taxes were meant for. So it's viewed as double taxation. It's viewed as double taxation. 4, we just identified a justification for CSR to be the fact that it reduces government interference in farms operation. In equal measure, this might not be good, because then corporations may become too powerful, may have too much power, which they may end up abusing them. So again, it gives corporations too much power. Too much power. Too much power. This might not be good. They may end up now violating laws because of the reduced level of scrutiny and supervision from the state. Again, another argument against CSR is that it may end up not benefiting the society, because the costs incurred by farms on CSR may be passed on indirectly to the consumer through increased pricing. So this works to the disadvantage of the same society. You initiate an activity, incur costs, but then pass them on to that same society, then there will be no benefit that will have accrued to such. Another big argument against CSR is that there might be accountability issues with the proceeds of CSR, or that is CSR activities may lack proper accountability. An organization allocates an amount of resources for CSR activities, but then the utilization of that resources are not utilization of that resources is not going to be transparent, and we may never come to learn of how well those resources were employed for the purposes of social responsibility. Now, these are the differing viewpoints as to the group that supports the involvement of businesses in CSR and those that objects the need for entities to undertake CSR. Now, we will continue expounding on the dimensions or the different perspectives that CSR takes by looking at the specific areas of CSR. We did say that CSR is going to take or assume 4 dimensions. These were broad, but now we want to break them down into specifics to those particular or specific activities in which businesses undertake or will be involved in social responsibility. Areas of CSR. The first area of CSR is business giving. Business giving. Now, as far as business giving is concerned, CSR activities may be many. For example, businesses may give gifts. Businesses may give donations. Businesses may support artistic activities. This may be viewed as a philanthropy aspect of a CSR. The next area of CSR, ecology and environmental quality. Ecology and environmental quality. Obviously, this is concerned with protecting and upgrading the quality of the ecosystem. And it will include, among other things, the activities of trying to clean up existing pollution. That is employing production techniques that cause less emissions, noise control, recycling processes, tree planting, among others. We also love consumerism as an area of CSR. Consumerism, this is where businesses consider the safety of the consumer, and consumerism will include truth in advertising, transparent and reasonable pricing for goods, giving guarantees and warranties that are genuine for products or on products, the control of harmful products, ensuring that the product composition is such that the product is fit for human consumption and cannot harm the health of the user or the consumer of a product. It will also involve issues to do with truth in quantities and quality of products, as well as the ability of an organization to respond and act on customer complaints. We also have issues to do with community needs. Number 4, community needs. Community needs. The society has quite a number or a set of needs, and businesses can go out of their way in their social responsibility initiatives, try to meet these needs, including the reduction of poverty, improvement of healthcare and education facilities, social amenities like theaters, and again improvement of infrastructural facilities, including roads, drainage systems, among others. Again, another area of CSR is government relations, very important. Government relations. A business is going to be governed by laws and legislation, laws and regulations. So basically, as far as government relations activities will include restrictions on lobbying, control of business political actions, restrictions on international remittances, and again the need to pay taxes promptly. Then again we have CSR activities in the area of minorities, minority and disadvantaged groups. As far as this area is concerned, businesses are interested in providing equal employment opportunities without discriminating people on whatever characteristics. Businesses will be interested in rehabilitating members of the society who are having alcoholic and drug addiction problems. Businesses have a responsibility to establish industries in marginal areas so that opportunities are going to be provided to such areas. And again, businesses will also provide equal pay for equal work, as well as promote to people on merit. And last but not least, there is not really last, number 7, labor relations. Another area is labor relations. That is the rights that the organization grants to its employees. So that in this particular area, every organization will seek to improve the health and safety of the workplace or work environment. Organization will seek to expand employee rights. They will also seek to care for the employees' families, and again open up the space of or the freedom of participation by employees in company affairs. Stockholder relations is another area. Stockholder relations. This is relations with the investors. This one's desire is a good return for the investment, And the areas of social responsibility include full financial and business health disclosures, selection of board members from various interest groups so that the board members are not imposed on the shareholders, protection of shareholders' investments by ensuring that the investments of the shareholders are being utilized or put into the most promising investments. And again, the business has a responsibility to disclose all its activities that have the potential of affecting the environment. Then how does an organization tell if it is meeting the expectations of the society and whether it is performing well when it comes to social responsibility issues? When an organization wants to measure its financial performance, it does that using financial processes. And similarly, an organization can also measure its social responsibility performance by conducting a social audit. Social audit. A social audit is simply an appraisal of a company's or an organization's CSR initiative. And the aim is to determine how well a company is faring in matters to do with social responsibility. So a social or a corporate social audit is an assessment of the company's performance on corporate social responsibility objectives. It evaluates measurable goals intended to help the business meet the expectations of the stakeholder groups, having regard to social and environmental responsibilities. It is important that in this century, businesses balance social responsibility with business performance. Social and ethical accounting, auditing, and reporting are practices that organizations have started to embrace. And the social and ethical accounting provides a way in which companies can assess their performance and bring the perspective of stakeholders into these assessments. By bringing social and ethical accountability processes into an organization's strategy and operations, a company can measure its performance for itself and for its stakeholders as well. This is also important because it helps a business understand where it falls short, where the societal expectations are not being fully met, and the company can make improvements to ensure that those gaps or such gaps are being filled. Now, what would be the reasons giving rise to the need to examine the state of a company's ethics? The main reasons that will make it necessary for a company to conduct a social audit would include: one, external societal pressures. Again, risk management. An organization wants to manage particularly reputational risks and legal risks. And again, stockholder obligations make it necessary for a firm to keep on conducting or understanding how it is performing on CSR issues. And finally, a social audit becomes a baseline or a yardstick against which to measure future improvements as far as the company is concerned. This is it for the subject CSR, and this subject or this area is again very broad that may require more or further learning from the students or the learners initiative, and I would therefore encourage to explore this area in detail. I will recommend to you the manifested study text where you can find additional content on the area CSR. And it is a good point, again, you subject yourself to a set of questions to test your understanding of the area that we've been discussing by, again, reviewing some questions from Manifested Publishers Revision Partner. Thank you. I will see you in our next lesson.